Hello everyone, so good to see you. I just flew back from Universal Studios in Hollywood, and while I was there, it made me think about how important branding can be. As a graphic designer, you would think this would be on my mind more often, but I specifically wanted to bring up the topic of product placement. It is, by definition, the practice of reaching an audience beyond traditional advertising by embedding marketing into another form of media, more or less. You've seen it in movies, TV shows, music, and indeed, video games. Product placement and allusions to the real world in games has been a thing for, I guess, as long as people realize games are a valid form of media. One of the legit earliest times I remember this being the case is the Dole brand of bananas in Super Monkey Ball. I thought every banana was Dole branded back then, which means that their brainwashing successfully worked on my feeble child mind. But that was super harmless, right? It's not like II was coming to shove bananas down my face. Some are a little more frank with their advertising, like the Calorie Mate in Metal Gear Solid 3. It's like this cookie. Wait, actually, what is this good for, Snake?
Calorie Mate provides a nutritionally balanced source of energy, and it makes counting calories easy. That's what's supposed to make it good for dieting.
Ah, I see. They even made this cheesy little magazine ad for it. I do think it's classier than when they shoved Doritos and Mountain Dew into Peace Walker. Way to advertise the gamer dinner. Though I guess I can't make fun of it too much. I literally got into Uncharted 3 through a series of weird events. In 2011, the PlayStation Network suffered a huge outage where everyone's information got leaked, and sometime after the issue, Sony offered a few games and a month free access of PlayStation Plus. In that time, I got into Uncharted 3's early access to multiplayer, which was doing a Subway promo. In hindsight, just a really weird crossover. One that made me go to Subway more times than I am willing to admit. You can unlock a shirt, a hat, other gear, emotes. The $5 footlong emote was so freaking dumb and funny. And also depressing to think that there was a time that a footlong was just $5. At least you're not as egregious as Final Fantasy 15 with its cup noodles deal. What a time. They had the voice actors ham it up and lean into it so hard that it just doubled back to being hilarious instead of cringy.
If you take something already delicious like cup noodles and add in the finest, freshest ingredients, what do you get? The ultimate flavor experience.
This is the nicest cup noodles I have ever seen. I might actually buy them more often if they didn't remind me of salt and being a broke college student.
It's made me appreciate cup noodles even more.
Perhaps we truly can't improve upon perfection.
Product placement, crossover promotions, this sort of thing isn't really new to video games. Though it's kind of unusual when a company that likes to remain as sterile with its properties as Nintendo tries it, especially in their first-party games. There are some where it's very subtle and it blends into the game's environment quite organically. Then there's some that are just kind of right there in your face. I went ahead and looked up multiple cases of first-party Nintendo titles that practice this exact thing, and there's a little bit more than you think. Let's start with an obvious one. I feel Pikmin 2 is a pretty common game people will bring up when they think of product placement in games. Especially since the release of Pikmin 2 on Switch reminded us that the new Play Control version on the Wii, the version that this game is based on, no longer has any product placement. Oh, but I remember. Really, the Duracell battery in the beginning of the game is iconic. It was a pretty smart one to be the first treasure you come across, because many of us were probably always refilling our Game Boys or soon-to-be Wii remotes with those AA's. But it kept going beyond that. You'd get so many items that would call back to products you probably had in your house or kitchen. And it gave such a unique perspective both on how tiny Olimar and the Pikmin are, as well as the narrative that yes, this is our Earth that they are exploring. Pretty much every single bottle cap or lid is referring to a real-life product. From pickles, pasta sauce, chapstick, to sardines and drinks. It took me a long time to realize this was for those bottles of Wilson tennis balls. Man, I thought Nintendo was just handing me a W. I love that the 7-Up bottle cap is named as a quenching emblem? Is that a reference? Going back, there's a lot more brands than I remember. As a kid, I just didn't have use for things like baking powder or lip balm, but I sure as heck had some ragu. I think my favorite was probably the Nutrient Silo. Like, it wasn't subtle at all, not even just the cap or label or something. This was just the entire dang tub of Skippy's peanut butter. And for what it's worth, I think people dismiss the replaced brands a little too hard. Like, sure, it loses something, and it's weirdly one of the only times people have been genuinely upset that their game has removed product placement in ads. It was simpler back then, I know. But as a graphic designer, I have to point this out. Each and every one of these replacements are brands designed from the ground up. Not only were they made from scratch, they also were designed in a way that makes them believably look like products or logos from the late 90s to the early 2000s. That is not an easy task to accomplish. They're clearly knockoff brands, but they still look close enough that they'll make you question, have I seen this before? Nintendo has reeled back and compromised with their own products and game memorabilia. I'll never forget what they did to my Rob. Or the fact that they gave us, the love tester. That's a real Nintendo product. Measures your compatibility and love from 1 to 100. If I did this test with Pikmin 2, it's about an 80. There's love, there's stress. It's a very colorful relationship. I was looking up titles and trying to remember what other first-party Nintendo games had references to the real world. And just when I thought I finished my list, Brandon reminded me of a certain game. Chibi-Robo Zip Lash. Apparently, I ignored this game so hard that I didn't realize it had product placements. I'm not gonna go into a rant about the game itself, but as far as what I played, I thought the game was okay. Do people just like being mean to this game because it's not like the other Chibi-Robo games? Is this another hate Pikmin situation? Because from what I played, it has some interesting ideas going for it. Dude, I was whipping up a storm like... Okay, maybe not that impressive, but I enjoyed what I played decently enough. I can't believe the only reason I booted up this game was because of product placement. See, I thought I'd come across some famous brands here or there, but oh, those are chips. Like, those are real Oots Natural Gourmet Medley Kettle Cooked Potato Chips. That's very specific, but sure. We also found some cheese okaki. What? Never heard of it, but it's a very real product in Japan. This little plain friend here informed me not too far into the game that they require snacks. That I can relate to very much, and I realized that's the big theme here. You're visiting Earth and discovering all kinds of snacks. Tootsie Rolls, cheese curls, airheads, Van Hot Autot? I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong, which means old cars in Finnish. They're like fruity gummies of old cars. The black ones taste like licorice. There's Umaibo, which has a cat mascot named Umaimon, who is suspiciously close in name and design to Doraemon. There's a good amount of internationally well-known products in this game, like Pez. Fun fact, Pez is an Austrian candy and has been around since 1927. This Mario has seen things. The selection ranges from more familiar brands like Pez to some that you really likely have never heard of before, like Moritz Eiskonfekt. I'm sorry, I'm not German enough. But in all honesty, I appreciate how culturally varied the selection of snacks are. Like, don't get me wrong, the majority of this list is a bunch of snacks from Japan that I've never heard of before, but the effort to be more diverse is pretty cool. But at the same time, this kind of product placement is, I don't know, not as fun as Pikmin 2, you know what I mean? Apparently the only reason that it is snacks is because it gives us a way to measure how big Chibi-Robo is relative to the snack itself, since it's likely that we have interacted with at least one of these products in our lives. I feel like there are other ways to measure our little Robo Buddy here, but sure. Like, oh, I don't know how tall 4 inches are. Thank God I can imagine a Pocky Stick for comparison. When you give this needy little plane the snack that they want, they'll give you a little history lesson on the brand and product. What does he want now? Mentos?
Start your engines and get ready to go bananas! Diddy Kong Racing is coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. Race as and against iconic characters such as Diddy, Conker, Tip Top, Banjo-Kazooie, Tony the Tiger, and Pigma Dengar. You'll race across wide plains, cruise through oceans, and soar over treacherous lava. All before that plumber and hedgehog ever bothered trying it. Experience a story mode that apparently only this and a couple other kart racers are capable of even trying. Get ready to race, drift, and boost through a collectathon like no other when Diddy Kong Racing comes to the Nintendo Switch 2. Eventually. Right? It has to come at some point, right, Nintendo? On Switch 2? Hello?
Wave Race 64, a classic, and some of the best water physics ever seen, which still miraculously hold up to this day. To further emphasize what a big deal this was, Nintendo partnered with the brand of Kawasaki jet skis and featured product placement throughout the game, on its vehicles, and in-game promotional banners seen during races. And that's all I had to say about Wave Race. Until I started to dive a little deeper. So I'm playing the NSO version of this game, and I was looking up info to make sure that I had seen and captured all of the ads available. Then, thanks to the cutting room floor, I discovered that there was also a Fanta ad. And I did in fact recall the N64 banners, which seemingly replaced them in the international versions. So I thought, oh, no big deal, I'll just record this on the Japanese NSO app. Well, I booted it up, raced on those stages where those ads appeared, and it's still the N64 ad. But why? Well, this applied only, and I mean only, to the original Japanese cartridge version of Wave Race 64 for the N64. Which means now I have to find a version of this game with this ad in it too. Oh, alright then. This all has to do with licensing, and the fact that Nintendo didn't renew theirs with Fanta basically means that this international version of the game became what Japanese players got for the NSO. And there it is, the Fanta ad. But I still was curious for more. Kawasaki is still there, so that must mean they've been paying for that license all this time, right? After all, they made a note to recognize the trademark right here in barely legible font on the title screen. Well, you know what? That's the funniest thing. That license expired a while back, therefore there's a version of the game that has all traces of product placement banished from existence on the Wii Virtual Console. So I tell myself, oh man, now I gotta open up the Wii version and confirm this myself, and oh. Then I realized once upon a time I moved my copy to an SD card, one that I apparently no longer have, mind you, had a slight panic, and then realized there is in fact one way to avert this crisis. Oh, my hero, here to save the day. Are you serious? I had transferred all my data from the Wii to the Wii U, so the save data still exists, but I had to go crawling back to the Wii Shop channel and re-download Wave Race 64 in the year of our Lord and Savior Luigi 2024. I guess this is just where my life is right now. Ah, look at him go! I missed this. I forgot you could pew-pew the fireballs. Alright. Ah, there it is. Welcome back. Can't believe this. Thankfully, this was not a lost cause, because after that entire ordeal, I was able to find out that yes, all the Kawasaki branding was replaced by ads for Nintendo's own products. Oh man, it's really weird when you see games that have info or branding of something that came out in the future. These advertisements for the Wii and DS Lite in such low res, it just confuses me. I already can hardly keep track of what day of the week it is. This just makes me feel like I need to worry if my homework is done for the class that I don't have tomorrow. But yeah, every logo and hint of the Kawasaki brand was removed from the banners and your jet skis across every version. That, mind you, only applies to the Wii Virtual Console. On the Wii U, the license was renewed, but for Kawasaki only. That means there's like 4 different versions of this game and its combinations of product placements in different regions and languages. In summary, the original international version on N64 and every version on NSO each have the Kawasaki logo retained, as the license was active during the game's release and re-release at the time. But if you want a Fanta, don't you want a Fanta, you have to play the original Japanese version on N64 to see those juicy ads. And none of these brands exist on the Wii Virtual Console. It's the most sanitized version of the game, at least until you make it back to the Wii U Virtual Console. Wow, that means if you upgrade your Wii version to the Wii U version, you get ads and a dirty dark filter over your game. What a deal! As I mentioned earlier, sometimes these products blend in a little bit more gracefully than others, and I like to think that Nintendo knows what they're doing. I personally wouldn't be able to product place anything if I had tried. Either that or it just kind of happens by accident. But it's when you start working with other IPs that it can become a bit trickier to work with at times. Animal Crossing is such a cozy place for me. I played every single title since release, and have watched the series grow and grow over time. This was the first time that I really committed to making the recording studio that I'll never have. Even though New Horizons might be a little stale for some after all this time, it did make an effort of sorts to keep the masses coming back. One method was amiibo cards, and perhaps the most involved use of them was the collaboration between Sanrio and Animal Crossing. I'm not going to claim to be the biggest Hello Kitty fan in the world or anything, but this union, given the art style and pleasant vibes of both properties, could not make for a better fit between each other if they tried. With a set of 6 amiibo cards, you can invite new villagers who are like the biggest fans of these characters that you'll ever meet in this world. Not only that, scanning one also allows you to purchase all of their items via the catalog. Not just furniture either. There's shirts, hats, shoes, food. Look at this! That's the sound of me paying for a virtual dessert. But honestly, this was a really cute collab, and a lot of these items fit so organically to the Animal Crossing universe. A lot of them more so than the Mario brand, no offense to the OG crossover items. Even if Hello Kitty isn't your thing, there's a lot of pieces that can still blend in with your overall aesthetic one way or another. Or buy the whole set and arrange it however you like. Oh, I can't wait to roll this rug out and put... Well, we're committed now. I remember the day that I got these, there was this mad dash for the lines outside Target on release. Turns out they're a lot easier to come by these days, so if you think you jive with the feel of these items, then go for it. I should mention that they also appeared in Animal Crossing Pocket Camp with more represented characters, and honestly, a bit more flavor in general than that on Switch. The same characters and furniture appear, with a lot more that you can craft. I fell off Pocket Camp pretty early, but I still felt it was worth mentioning. And believe me, this is not the last time we're going to bring up Sanrio. Despite being a company located in Japan, it isn't very often that we see first-party Nintendo games cross over with popular anime. They usually like to keep themselves in their own bubble, but the Wii U was the Wild West, and I kinda miss that aspect. One such occurrence was with Splatoon, featuring an exclusive crossover with the anime Squid Girl. Squid Kids meet Squid Girl. In a free update, you could earn the same costume, hat, and shoes of the Squid Girl to use as gear in battle. Out of curiosity, I took a look at the animation to see what it was about back then. This series by Masahiro Anbe is about a young squid girl that emerges from the ocean in order to invade Earth to punish them for pollution of the sea, but ends up working at a shop nearby in order to pay off a debt. That's capitalism! It's a kind of slice-of-life comedy that doesn't take itself too seriously. There's really nothing here that relates to Splatoon in any way except for the fact that they are squid people. But that's totally fine because we got a lot of cute promotional art from both the artists of the manga and Splatoon in the lead up to the collaboration's release. It's a little sad that we can't use this online anymore now that the Wii U servers have shut down. Unlike pretty much every single costume from Splatoon 1, including things like amiibo sets, the Squid Girl costume set has been locked to that game, and never came back for any entries in the series since. But this is not the only time Splatoon has dipped into real-world properties. Splatfests, as you may be acutely aware, are when players are given a choice between polarizing options and must battle to prove that your opinion is the right one. The first Splatoon lightly dipped into this, the first being a battle between Autobots and Decepticons from the Transformers series. This was eventually followed up by the more iconic battle between SpongeBob and Patrick, literally a match made in heaven for these two series. These were the only real-world crossovers that we saw overseas, but Japan had much more specific choices. The first was the battle between Red Kitsune Udon or Green Tanuki Soba, both of the Maruchan brand. Part of the reasoning for this battle was because of the huge Kitsune and Tanuki statues found in Inkopolis Plaza. This became the only Splatfest to ever repeat in Splatoon 1, as this appeared 1 year later after the game updated how multipliers and the voting processes worked. After that was extremely specific. Which Kirin brand of afternoon tea do you like more? Lemon tea or milk tea? If the Chibi-Robo statement did not give this away, Japan is very serious about their food and drinks, whether it's snacks or not, as further indicated by deciding which do you like more, squid or octopus. It even featured two characters that belong to the trading card game and webcomic, Aiten Mutenmaru. I know it's about seafood, but I like how at first it's not super specific in what capacity we're voting. To eat? To love? Regardless, this was in cooperation with the Kura Sushi restaurant chain, who also made the aforementioned card game and comic. If this Splatfest sounds familiar, then you might be thinking about the Inkling vs Octoling that occurred in Splatoon 2. Oh, but we're not done there! The best onigiri filling between tuna and mayonnaise versus red salmon. Yeah, I can see why some of these are specifically for Japan, since the cuisines and food culture are a bit different from ours. But of all things, this Splatfest was held in collaboration with 7-Eleven? Wasn't expecting that one. Up to this point, this was Splatoon's most attended Splatfest, with over half the install base in Japan participating. People are serious about their onigiri, or just really like 7-Eleven. The final cross-promotion Splatfest in Splatoon 1 was Choco Rooms vs Choco Cones of the Meiji brand. The first are chocolate-dipped biscuits that are shaped like a mushroom, while the cones are chocolate-coated cookies that are shaped like the top of a bamboo shoot. They were originally known as Mushroom Mountain and Bamboo Shoot Village, respectively. This sounds really good, actually. I gotta try one of these one day. Oh yeah, for those who don't remember, every Splatfest has a custom drawing of each idol and their voting choice. And I just really love this image of Callie going unhinged with chocolate chip biscuits that look like mushrooms. She's dual wielding! And that was Splatoon 1. But then Splatoon 2 continued this trend. Oh my goodness, we're gonna be here a while longer. Despite everything that we just went through for Japan Splatfest and Splatoon 1, the sequel in territories overseas only featured a single property outside of Nintendo's own. This was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which was currently running the Rise of the TMNT at the time. It was a tournament of sorts, a 3-part Splatfest that resulted in a showdown between Raph and Donnie, with Donnie taking the overall win. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything else in Splatoon 2's lifespan was either generic choices or Nintendo's own brands. But in Japan, following the second Splatfest of Mayo vs. Ketchup was the only natural follow-up possible. McDonald's fries versus McNuggets. Oh, we're starting off strong with this one. Listen, I know it's a different quality of food in Japan versus out here in the States, but I would choose fries that at least have some consistency of texture or flavor over rubber McNuggies inside of a crunchy shell any day. I'm just saying, no offense to anyone if that's your preference, I hardly ever go to McDonald's anymore, so what does my opinion matter anyway? And don't turn the comment section into a food war, ma'ams, sirs, this is a GBG's. The next partner Splatfest is kind of an unusual one. What do you prefer to wear in the winter? Warm innerwear versus warm outerwear? Huh, okay. This is meant to promote the Uniqlo brand of clothing, who have worked with Nintendo plenty of times in the past, like with their Super Mario and Legend of Zelda lines of clothing. Given how much of an emphasis the world of Splatoon gives the clothing, the drip, as one might say, I'm kinda surprised there hasn't been more thread-based Splatfest. And following the same line of thinking, a few fests later, they got whether you would choose between the newest model or most popular model, focusing in on a pair of Nike branded footwear, the Air Max. Shoes that deeply resemble these but are not specifically branded are the Sea Slug Volt 95s and the Sesame Salt 270s, which were intentionally released a week before the Splatfest took place. This is really one of the only games where I feel like I'm actually being stylish. The next fest was pretty unique too and came with some pretty cool art, which fills you with a spirit of adventure, new life forms, or advanced technology. This Splatfest was sponsored by Jamstec. Jamstec, the Japan Agency for Marine Earth Science and Technology. Squid, Kid, Educated. The website that it led me to was so convincingly parodied that I wondered if this was really an actual organization or not. It definitely is, even though they went so far as to make a silly Splatoon version of their logo. They even had Nagami from Squid Labs in character while visiting the property. This man's a treasure. I hope you didn't think we're done yet, because it's time for more Hello Kitty. This partially overlapped the Ninja Turtle Splatfest, and like that one, it was a 3-part tournament. These fests put Hello Kitty versus Cinema Roll and My Melody versus Pom Pom Purin. For this collab, they gave Kitty and friends a gun. Sometimes two. Why does Cinema Roll look so threatening? It's a common trend for Hello Kitty to swap clothing with who they collab with, but there's something really cool about Sanrio characters dressing in Splatoon streetwear. I love how both sides had art done in each other's style. It's very wholesome, with sometimes an emphasis on whole. There was a lot of promotional art for this string of Splatfest, and in the end, My Melody took the win against Hello Kitty in the finals. GG, friends. Just a couple of Splatfests later, they got, what do you prefer, Choco Rooms or Choco Cones? Wait, what? Again? They did indeed repeat the same Splatfest from the first game. This is the first time it happened with a brand, though. Not much more to say the second time around, though I was pleasantly surprised to find that they brought back Callie and Marie for the promotional art this time. And she's dual-wielding those chocolate mushrooms again! Speaking of chocolate-coated treats, it was Pocky's turn just a few Splatfests later. Which do you prefer, Pocky Chocolate or Pocky Goku Boso? Which, from my understanding, means ultra slim in English-speaking markets. The difference is pretty much as such. Do you prefer the original Pocky or the thin ones? The thin ones, mind you, can pack in a total of 50 Pocky sticks, so you're choosing whether you prefer the quantity or do you like the Pockies with more girth. Man, the art went really hard for this event, and it just got better as Splatoon continued as a series. The final Splatoon 2 Splatfest that dipped into the real world was, get this, who do you cheer for, the Central League or the Pacific League? Baseball? What do you mean baseball? The last thing Splatoon players play are actual sports. I'm just kidding, I play a little sports ball back in the day. But yes, this Splatfest is part of a collaboration between Nintendo and Nippon Professional Baseball, or NPB, the highest level professional baseball league in Japan. As part of this collaboration, several preliminary events were held, and each team of the NPB also selected a team from the top 12 of the Splatoon Koshien, which is a huge official Splatoon tournament held annually. These seeded teams and top finishers of the preliminary events then face off in a finals tournament a week after the Splatfest. Definitely one of the most involved Splatfests that ever happened across any territory. And that concludes Splatoon's collaborations because even though it's still ongoing, Splatoon 3 has not had any specific brands in their Splatfest across all regions. There's been a couple of legally distinct looking brands, though nothing exact. They've had Pokemon and Legend of Zelda, but nothing goes beyond the Nintendo branding. Whether or not they decide to dip back into these deals for the rest of Splatoon 3's life cycle, we will just have to wait and see. It's time, everyone. We're going to talk about some good old Mario. And no, not Mario Maker quite yet. I'm taking you back to where it all began. So grab a snack, sit back, time for some radio talk. I actually don't have any popcorn in here like I should. Hey, can you add in some popcorn? Thanks. I think it's no surprise that Super Mario Bros. Was going to be a huge segment of this. There's such a grand diversity of properties that they base many of their stages and costumes on. But there is one company that can claim they'd done it decades before Mario Maker was even a thought. In December of 1986, Nintendo and Nippon Broadcasting System, a subsidiary of Fuji TV, published and released a limited run of All Night Nippon Super Mario Bros. For the Famicom Disk System. This was based on the Japanese radio program All Night Nippon, which was about to celebrate their 20-year anniversary.
All night Nippon, take it to the good time, baby.
It's an officially licensed retool of Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels and the original, changing some levels around and the story. Yeah, this is the Viva Kingdom now, and the evil Koopa has captured the All Night Nippon personalities. World 1 takes place at night, and they also changed some of the sprites, like, oh my god, what is that? So, this is a Goomba, but now capturing the likeness of DJ Sun Plaza Nakano. This man sports his iconic shades and brilliantly bald head, translated perfectly into not just the Goombas, but piranha plants as well. I'm just a little uncomfortable. There's other changes too, like the Starman, which has become religious. It's actually meant to resemble the Hiranya, a symbol popularized by Yuji Miyake's Young Paradise, the radio program that preceded All Night Nippon on the same radio station. A segment on that show claimed that the Hiranya has mysterious powers and is buried somewhere in Tokyo. In this case, it makes a person invincible. And yes, it does look like the Star of David. The flag that raises at the end of each level now has the symbol of Nippon Broadcasting System ink on it. And for some reason, it also replaces the axe that takes Bowser out at each castle. All of the Toads have been replaced with different show personalities, each with their own sprite made as a caricature to their likeness, who Mario has to help save. This featured prominent figures in entertainment at the time, perhaps the most notable being Takeshi Kitano, also known as Beat Takeshi. He is a famous comedian, actor, and filmmaker who was involved in All Night Nippon as a host from 1981 to 1990. At the very end, when you beat Bowser for real, you find your reward. You save the door! No, not really. Behind this door, Peach is dressed as a traditional Japanese hime, or princess in a kimono. This game was the first time Peach was ever officially shown in an alternate outfit and with her hair done differently, preceding games like Super Mario Sunshine by nearly a decade and a half. Upon saving the princess, you also get a remix of the ending theme. And like a side note, there's a cute little poem at the end now, but clearly it's meant for Mario. The rhyming is all thrown off when you play as Luigi, and I just find it really funny that he ruins the whole thing when it's not even his fault. Don't worry, Luigi, I know the L stands for winner. And as you can see, you can play as either Mario or Luigi, but there's no two-player option, and Luigi retains his unique higher jumping and less traction introduced in the Lost Levels. He jump, but oh, he slip. It's supposed to be an easier mode once you get the hang of it, but the original Mario Bros. Physics were tripping me up. The floating platforms have become mushroom platforms, the clouds have faces, the super mushrooms in 1-Up now have updated looks that lines up with the original. Lots of little changes here. Some textures have also become microphones? Well, it is based on a radio program, so I shouldn't be surprised. Some of the levels are notably harder than the original game, taking on their more difficult VS Super Mario Bros. Or Lost Levels variants. Do you remember World 7-4? The pattern to get to the end was changed for this version. I feel like I was in purgatory here, man. I really just didn't want to Viva in this kingdom anymore. However, items like poison mushrooms were replaced with regular power-ups. Though, some item locations are just different now. You're not allowed to be up there, you're the first mushroom, this is illegal! But yeah, I realized that there are parts based on the version of VS Super Mario Bros. That was playable on arcade machines, and you can also get it for your Switch via the arcade archives. Only 3,040 copies of this game were ever released. 2,000 were given via lottery for listeners who sent a postcard within a 4-day period. Another 1,000 were sold directly at Nippon Broadcasting System's Music Center on the game's release date, December 20th. Famitsu and Family Computer Magazine, known as Famimaga, also gave out 20 copies each in a lottery, with Famitsu getting over 30,000 submissions to win. And as a side note, I was pleased to discover that All Night Nippon is still on air today.
Hi, こんばんは。All Night Nippon, go go go, and goes on.
This game, published by Nippon Broadcasting System of Fuji TV, would go on to publish another title that some people might have heard of. It's called Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic, which, did you know, was localized in the West as Super Mario Bros. 2? But really though, it is interesting to see how big of a role that Fuji TV played in helping give Mario a head start in advertising and video game publishing. In summary, this title is pretty much a remix of Super Mario Bros., The Lost Levels, and VS Super Mario Bros. All smashed into one, with some remade art and a silly premise. You might call it the first ROM hack of Mario Bros. That was officially distributed to the public. The success of this partnership helped propel Nintendo and video games as a whole into a medium that would garner more respect as a form of art and entertainment thanks to All Night Nippon. Anime, manga, even soundtracks based on Nintendo properties became more normalized because of this partnership. And yet, the Mushroom Kingdom would not see this level of weirdness and willingness to integrate personalities and imagery from the real world until many years later. In a strange way, All Night Nippon partially paved the way for Nintendo's direction going into Super Mario Maker. In an ocean of uncertainty, we were given the gift of being able to make our own Mario levels, with creative tools that went beyond just simple level editing options. Along with being able to play levels from just about anybody around the world, Nintendo shook hands with a lot of people to really get the word out. First on the list is Arino Maker, which had 3 courses created by Shinya Arino, host of the very popular Retro Game Master, otherwise known as Game Center CX in Japan. If you have seen Sakurai's special crossover episodes on his YouTube channel, then you might already be a little familiar with Arino. He is a charismatic gentleman who is known for his Let's Plays of, wouldn't you know it, retro games. He's been doing this for 20 years now and is well loved by his fans. By clearing the first stage, you unlock the Arino Kacho costume. In New Arino Maker, he claims to have created a Mario experience like you've never seen before. He created voice clips specifically for the game in his costume as well, down to a very charming stage-complete jingle.
クリアしましたよクリアしましたよディナー前に帰れるかも
I love this man.
課長オン
Famitsu Magazine also joined in on the fun. Vanilla Kondo, the winner of a course creation contest held by the publication, was featured and titled Yoshi is Awesome. This, as you might expect, features Yoshi as a prominent role. By clearing the stage, you could earn a special costume of Famitsu's mascot himself, Neki the Fox, dressed in Mario's clothing. In 2015, PAX West held an event called the Omegathon. Players competed in Mario Maker, culminating in this stage, the final round that let players experience just a sampling of what it felt like to be on that stage. It has some cute representations of areas you'd find at PAX, like the PC Game Lounge or tabletop section. It ends in a chaotic fight against Bowser and a short victory lap to the finish. It's cool and kind of odd to see PAX in the game of all things, though I suppose they do have a pretty good attendance at the event. Similarly, the Tokaigi 2016 held a contest consisting of 4 courses. This is a pretty big gaming event held in Japan, and so it seemed natural that Nintendo would showcase their game there. It's so unusual that we get glimpses into events held overseas in this way. Like, isn't it so cool that we can play these at all? I think this perfectly represents why Mario Maker is such a massive hit on the little console that tried. Literally anyone can make a stage, tailor it to your needs or thematic vision, and just share it with anyone, anywhere. Because at the end of the day, even if language becomes a barrier, we can all pick up a controller and speak in the same language of Mario. That's kinda deep, I gotta write that one down. So far, the Mario Maker events haven't been too far out there, yeah? They each are adjacent to video games in one way or another. Nothing out of the realm of possibility there. Then let's see, oh, how about, Southwest Airlines? Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. This is an airship course made by employees at Southwest. It's not very specific, doesn't tell me who got chosen or why, but I'm jealous of them. you can see how they accurately depicted me hurrying through everyone trying to not touch each other in customs. Really, this was more of an excuse to throw in the Sky Pop airplane from Super Mario Land into a course to unlock it, and I'm all here for that. But enough about airlines. How about manga? Naoshi Komi, the creator of Nisekoi, got the opportunity to make 2 whole stages. Nisekoi False Love is a romantic comedy that featured in Weekly Shonen Jump and has also been adapted to anime and live action. I may not be especially fluent in the series, but I do know what it's like to be forced to make a choice. In both stages, you have to pick your route, so to speak. The first stage being between Chitoge Kurosaki or Kosaki Onodera. In the second stage, you must choose between Seshiro Tsugumi or Marika Tachibana. This is such a funny and creative way to choose your literal route, and will get a fair chuckle from anyone who's played visual novels or dating sim games. By clearing the stage, you also get a special costume of Chitogi, one of the main characters of the story. That's another win for anime girls. Another amazing crossover is with Baby Metal, promoting their album Metal Resistance. Baby Metal? This group is composed of a trio of singers who sing in the genres of, and I quote, J-pop, power metal, alternative metal, and kawaii metal. What in the world does kawaii metal even sound like? Why wasn't this the background music to their stage? This band consists of the 3 singers Su Metal, Moa Metal, and Momo Metal. It is said that this subgenre of kawaii metal started with baby metal, blending the cute, high energy you'd expect from idol culture, but blended with a heavy metal tone. This stage was made as the group really started to hit the top of the charts at the time. The singers even recorded unique lines for their costume, which consists of all 3 members. My favorite thing about this sprite set is that this crouch pose here, where it looks like they've all fallen over, that's taken from one of their album covers, Doki Doki Morning. That's just incredible. Even though this stage was made back in 2016, they are still out there performing live concerts, one being, I kid you not, just a few weeks ago in my backyard here in San Francisco. Rock on, ladies. This one was taken down years ago, but apparently Shaun the Sheep had a collab too, in a stage that featured a lot of Monty moles. Shaun the Sheep? What? Shaun the Sheep? This is a British stop-motion animated silent comedy, a spin-off of Wallace and Gromit that's been entertaining on children's television networks for years. If you participated within the window of time, you could earn a Shaun costume. Oh, goody? I'm not sure how or why some of these even happen, but far be it from me to complain. Okay, who's gonna be the first one to vote for Shaun in Smash? In case you didn't notice this yet, Sanrio is no stranger to doing collabs with a lot of properties. Before the amiibo cards in Animal Crossing, Giddy was teaming up with the plumber himself. When you think about it, yeah, for as popular as they are, both being some of the most successful brands in the world, why wouldn't they market and collab together? Hello Kitty and My Melody are featured in this stage, and you can earn their costumes upon completion too. It's just a cute, fun little stage with blocks arranged to resemble Kitty and fruits. For as many partnerships and for as powerful as Hello Kitty is in the world of branding and entertainment, I'm kinda surprised that there isn't more of these happening in the world of Nintendo. But I don't think that this beats the absurdity of another brand that pushed even harder to buddy up with Nintendo. Ah, the Jump and Drive stage. The Mercedes-Benz has some of the weirdest crossover energy with Mario right here in the Wii U era. Made by a team of Mario fans who work at the car company, this stage put Mario into a freaking real-life car. Like, they crunched this car down into 8-bit form and made it work. The level even makes cute and effective little allusions to harnessing my road rage. God, I hate taking the 880 after 5 PM. I know people are a little put off by their willingness to put a whole official car brand into the game, but this was a difficult time for Nintendo. This actually is a continuation of another brand deal with an even bigger title. You know what it is, Mario Kart 8. Everything always circles back to this game, doesn't it? We simply cannot escape the infinite loop that is Mario Kart 8, deluxe version or otherwise. As everyone and their mothers are probably aware of, Super Mario Maker was not the only game to feature the partnership with Mercedes. It featured not one, but 3 different models by Mercedes-Benz. The premier model was the GLA, accompanied by the W2 Silver Arrow race car, that's fitting at least, and the 300 SL Roadster, a sports car produced in the 1950s. As a bonus, we even got a set of GLA tires. Wow! Okay, I do admit, I've been known to use the GLA tires. I know, but they just look good on my cart, okay? Screw the meta, your bare buggy, and those ugly roller tires. I choose to be suboptimal and stylish. It already looks ridiculous as it is. This is like the high-end Fisher-Price fake car for rich kids. You know what? I think that by extension, the fact that we're driving around real-life locations thanks to the tracks from Tor adds another weird dimension into the rift fabric of space and time. Link just casually driving in a GLA around Los Angeles, it sends me. This is one of the funniest things I've seen in the last 2 generations. He's just having a good time. And don't even get me started on those commercials. Please look up Mario Kart Mercedes commercial and click on the one with the man Mario. God, look at how much better the movie could have been in live action. I think it's in the nose. Just look at that sniffer. I'm pretty sure I'm never gonna forget Hot Mario for the rest of my life. Oh, Princess Peach too? I forgot there was more than one commercial. Luigi is here. He's got some moves though. I think this is the victory dance he does when they make the new gritty Mario Party reboot. Seriously, what am I looking at? I believe this is a clear example that no matter how mainstream or how niche a title is, Nintendo will open their doors to partnerships, collabs, and crossovers whenever it seems to fit the most, or whenever they're just a little bit desperate. And that's pretty much all I got here. I did consider for a moment to include Super Nintendo World and Universal, but that's more video games in the real world than the real world in video games. So I decided to mostly leave all of that out. I still learned a lot from this. There are some topics on here that I feel like deserve a deeper dive at some point. But in the meantime, I've come to really appreciate the characters and properties that have endured the test of time. Like Green Mario over here. You know, I actually got something from Super Nintendo World I wanted to share. Let me grab that real quick, hold on. This is one of those little mystery boxes that have a random figure inside, and I want to open it up with all you here. So I have no idea who's gonna show up in this. It might be Luigi, I hope it's Luigi, or Peach. I actually don't know if Peach is a character that'll show up at all, but we're gonna open it right here, right now. And dun 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 dun. I got, let's see. Oh my God, he's stuck in there. Set him free. Oh look, it's Chef Toad. It's a Chef Toad. I had no idea this was one of the figures that would be available in there. Ooh, and there's a nice coin with it too. Highly recommend you go out there. I went out there and got a whole 1 street pass. But you know what? It's worth it. He looks so lovely. The coin goes with it. You gotta add the coin with it. This is a really nice looking coin. I'm getting my fingerprints on it already. Look at that shine. These bead keychains are demonic. Ow! Okay, we're good. Might be hard to see, but this is such a nice quality. Yeah. Oh my goodness, you guys, I just realized I looked at the little slip that came with the figurine. You can see all the ones that you can get inside the little tin mystery box here. I got the mystery character. Look at that's Chef Toad. I got the mystery character. I'm the chosen one. Chef Toad, welcome to the family. Now what am I gonna do with this? Can you tell I like the aesthetic? What was this video about again? So when and where do you think we might see the next crossover? Are there any that I missed or that you've never heard of before? Let me know down in the comments after you leave a like and maybe subscribe for some more weird lists like this. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go have a big hot sloppy Subway sandwich and then wash it down with a large wet Pepsi drink. Then eat chips. Listen, I didn't say I was good at advertising, I'm just hungry. Thanks for watching everyone, till we meet again.